Good morning, good morning, good morning. Today's like the fun world of Zoom update. So let's jump back into it. So look, we want to focus on our proactive actions between now and the end of the year. So I want to talk about the 2.5 hours that everyone should have in their schedule that will drive everything else you do. See, there's a difference between being busy and being productive. And I want to go through the psychology of this first. See, as human beings in a self-employed, commission-driven business, we always want to feel like we're busy, because if we don't feel like we're busy, what do we think? We're not going to make any money. So what people do is they take out bad clients and they make bad decisions for the hope that they feel like they're doing something. So number one on your list right now, I need everyone to write the word standards down. Standards. Standards with an S. And then I want you to make like a T. So it's essentially 2 columns. My ideal client is column 1. You know what column 2 is? My nightmare client. You know, there's a saying, if you don't know who you're looking for, you'll end up with anyone. And this is what happens to most of us, right? The whole point of a filter is to keep the wrong things out. Does anyone have a standard list right now written down that could share with us in terms of client? Anybody? Think of it like this. When you qualify for a loan, are there certain things you have to meet, like a certain credit score? They have to verify your employment. It can't exceed a debt to income ratio, right? They want to make sure that you're a good borrower. Well, if you're looking at your ideal client list, what are the qualifications that make somebody a good client for you? Sorry about that. If you have young kids, you'll understand it's like cold season. So what are the standards that make a good client for you? Write it in the chat. Let me see. Communication. Wow, you guys are like already ahead. We have telekinesis. This is good. Communication, right? So if you just write communication, is it clear, concise, and quantifiable? No way. Someone who values a written communication plan. Timing. Rich has it best. Someone who needs to buy within a month. Financial qualifications. Respects time boundaries. Irene, I'm going to push you. What does serious even mean?
It means somebody that's not just looking, testing the market. They're serious. They're like, because they could go doing this. I've been having people that I'm still working with for 2 years, and they still haven't bought.
So ready? Here's something you want to write. Instead of serious, right? We want to write has a major life event that requires them to move in a stipulated period of time. Now think about this if you're looking at your piece of paper. If it said serious, now you're going to say, well, are they serious? Are they not serious? And now, Irene, if you look at it and it says a major life event that requires them to move within a stipulated time, that's a yes or a no. 1031 exchange, perfect. Pleasant to be around. I would go out to lunch or dinner with my client and not feel uncomfortable or want to run out of the room. And Bill, instead of doesn't disagree with everything I suggest, values professional advice and is looking for guidance. Mo, everyone's motivated to buy in some way, right? I could be motivated to buy because I'm looking for a once-in-a-lifetime deal because I think of inflation, interest rates. Listens and is willing to follow my system to buy. Perfect. Do we understand how the difference between a good example and a bad example is? So here's what happens. The way that you're doing this, essentially you're programming your mind to look for these things. Just like the 10-minute business plan, like what distractions got in the way, what will I do differently? If you're doing this, you'll see your brain like this, like starting to pick up on this. Now, what makes a nightmare client? Go ahead. This will be the fun part for all of us. Everyone can vent here. This is the one time I'll accept complaints. Go ahead. What do you mean by parents?
But that was me. And I put it because they bring the parents in when they finally find the right house. And you've been telling them all along, bring the parents if they're going to be helping with the decision, because they didn't see all the really bad ones to know what a good one looks like. I'm sorry, I'm
So
Dina.
essentially, are you saying that anyone that has a parent involved in the process you won't work with?
No. But we're just saying that we want them to come along from the get-go. So our buyers that are the problems are the ones that say, oh no, my parents don't need to come until we find the right house. And then what we've been finding is that the parents are then saying, oh no, but look at this and look at that. And oh, it backs up to a busy road. But that's because we saw these others.
But by the way, when I bought my first house, that's what my mom did to me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
She's so like, you need to deduct from this house because there's all these things wrong. I'm like, yeah, mom, if I did it your way, I would never buy a house. Those are my exact words.
Right. And so we need to get them to start the process from the beginning with us if they're going to be a part of the process at the end.
So what you need to do is build a talk track and a conversation map for people that have parents. Are your parents included? Watch this. Are your parents included in the process?
Not really.
Great. So your parents are not going to attend any showings, give you any advice. You don't want to bring them when you find the house that you feel like that you can live in for whatever period of time.
Well, yeah, we want them to see the house we're planning to purchase.
Exactly. And do you value your parents' opinion?
Yes.
I value my parents' opinion as well. And that's exactly why it's important, if they're part of the process, to include them in the whole process. Because the last thing that we would want is your parents' advice not being heard, or your parents not to understand what process you've gone on. And there's a simple way through our collections interactive home search that we can include them throughout the process. So even if they're not coming to the property, they're kept updated throughout the situation. Would that be helpful?
Well, they're really busy though, and I don't think that they're going to be interested in doing that. They're just going to want to come and see the house that I'm picking.
Great. Either way, we're going to provide the information and we can share it with your parents. And what I find is even the busiest parents love their kids enough to spend 10, 15 minutes just to look at the comments and stay up to date. So look, we want to make it available if they choose to do it. And if they don't choose to do it, that's fine too. But we want to make sure that they're kept in the loop, as it sounds like something that's important too.
Okay. They're really picky about us getting a good deal though. So
great. Would you mind sharing with us what they feel a good deal is in this market?
Well, if it's not perfect, they want to make sure that we take money off the price of the house. So
great. So before we look at a house, let's look at some of the properties that might fit what you're looking at through the eyes of your goals and expectations, and see what other buyers are willing to pay.
Okay. All right.
So do you see how I'm doing this? And then we would go through sharing the market and go through the entire process with them up front. The point that I cannot stress enough to you is go through the right consultation, share the right information, and weed out the bad clients. Doesn't follow instructions, wants you to read their mind, will not follow recommendations, a reverse of an ideal client, says one thing, does another, arrogant, knows it better than you, does not communicate. So the question for that person, Claudia, would be, you sound like you're a very savvy buyer and you have access to a lot of information. So what specifically are you looking for an agent to do that you feel that you can't do on your own?
Chirag, it's actually, I was referring to a seller. I primarily work with sellers, and I recently had one that was just a nightmare to work with, which was a learning experience. Going forward, I will know better.
Well, you just keep going to that and see what they say, because if someone has all the answers, it has to be very clear to you what specifically that they want you to do. And then if you're dealing with these people, use the phrase, if you want them to do stuff as you already know, and then tell them what you're going to tell them. And they'll literally cringe because they'll never say the words, I don't know.
Yeah. Yep.
Request homes to see that they're not qualified for. Michelle, that might be one of my favorite ones of all time. Well, I just want to see it. So what do you say to buyers like that? Michelle? All right.
Sorry, I didn't know if you were talking directly to me. Well, it just depends. Sometimes I just go and I take them. And if I'm really tired and busy, then I say, it's out of your price range and we have your pre-qualified letter. But there are a lot of times.
How do they receive that generally?
Pardon me?
And how was that generally received?
It depends on the person. Sometimes they understand that. They get it. I mean, why would they want to go see something that they know they can't purchase? My realistic, rational clients get that. Other ones are like, well, let's just go. You never know. Maybe we can afford it. So it just kind of depends on the
situation.
Have
you ever found them in doing that people actually end up buying the nicer house?
Yeah, no, that has happened. That has happened. I mean, it actually happened last month where the parents ended up pitching in and they were able to go up another $100,000 on a house that they love. So it did work. So I just kind of like weed out who I think it's going to work and who it won't. And then if it doesn't.
Yeah. And look, I would just ask them a simple question. Hey, look, I know you're pre-qualified. I don't know, maybe something has changed, but what is your goal in going to look at this house? And see what they say.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So look, I want you to put all of these things into another column, my nightmare client. Rich, a buyer that only texts. If you're not a text person, which I don't think you should do the largest purchase of your life through text message, they have to get on the phone. If they don't want to do that and that's not the way you want to work, don't work with these people. And by the way, doing an entire transaction through text message has a very high probability of something getting lost in communication and going wrong. So the first thing that I want you to do is understand your standards. Everyone needs standards for a buyer and everyone needs standards for a seller. And after you go on an appointment with the client, before you even agree to work with them, you should let them know, like, in this conversation today, you're going to see if you're a good fit. You're going to see if I'm a good partner for you. I don't like a fit, as well as I'm going to see if you're a good partner for me. So at the end of the meeting, you could choose to work with me and I could choose to work with you and we could partner together. That could be great. I could choose to want to partner with you and you could choose not to want to partner with me, and that's okay too. Or you could want to work with me and I could choose that this might not be a great fit for me. And either one of those is okay. So the goal is to have a productive conversation, to understand your goals, your expectations, and see how our experience can be a fit to what you're looking for. And literally when someone says, well, I only want to text, I would literally look at them and say, look, would this be the largest financial transaction of your life? And they're going to say yes. So responsibly, I cannot do an entire purchase like this through text message. And I don't want to disappoint you and go back to the disappointments from the Medsy. So if you're looking for an agent that will only text, I'm sorry, I don't think it'll be a good fit for you. And that takes a lot of courage to say. But if someone wants to text, or literally you're going to be like Jack Bauer in 24, operating in real time with Chloe O'Brien calling you like, Jack, you got to look at this. It's like, that's what it feels like. This is a business you run, and arguably the highest paid service in the world. All right, so let's go back to the 2.5 hours. Number one, we have to have standards. Stop taking out people that are like, I'm going to use Irene for example, like these 2-year people. He's like, oh, I have a client. No, you don't have a client. You have somebody that's stealing your time, money, resources, and your mental energy. It's not a client. So here's what I need you to do. Let's start at the end of the day. At the end of the day, I need you to slot 10 to 15 minutes to do the 10-minute business plan, right? What income producing activities did you do? What distractions got in your way? What will you do differently? And that's going to drive the next day of what you actually do. When you wake up in the morning, do not go on social media and do not check your email. Don't do it. The brain starts fresh. We need to program our brain, as Tony Robbins calls it. It's creating the state. We need to put ourselves in a peak performance state. So drink a glass of water, brush your teeth. Half the time you're tired because you're dehydrated. But let's fast forward your morning routine, because that's what we're going to talk about. How do we start our workday? The first thing I want you to do before you look ever at an email, hear me, ever, before you do anything, today, tomorrow, and the rest of your life, is go through your 10-minute business plan. Because here's what happens. If you did nothing to make new income yesterday, I want you to highlight in red in the tracker, like nothing, bad. Green, good. It'll prompt you to do something and be very proactive about it, right? Next thing is you're programming your brain to search for those distractions. And what we do differently is you're programming your brain to find a solution. So Michelle, if we start our day off like this every day, true or false, are we not going to be more productive? True.
True.
Every single day you'll be more productive. Then the next thing I'd like you to do, if this is not the first thing you're doing, is practice your skills. Everyone needs to be in a role play group. Everyone needs a role play partner. If not, sit in the mirror, do it with your dog, do it with your kids. You know, I remember when I was learning Compass and what's Compass, I would practice with my son. And I would tell my son, if he could repeat this back, I'll give him $5. So then he would learn it and practice it, and we'd go back and forth. Your kids are cheap labor, so it's a good investment. And they can also see, if you're a parent, what hard work looks like, what practice works like. It's in alignment with what you're telling them to do. The next thing is slot in your coaching or whatever it is, and we'll talk more about how it'll be redefined for next year. But then the next most important thing to do is 90 minutes of prospecting. 90 minutes. Contact 5 people that you know in your database, 3 Compass agents, and write 2 handwritten notes. That's good for 20 transactions a year if you do it consistently 5 days a week, 10 months out of the year. So you can do it. We figured this out with another client. You could actually do it 4 days a week, where only 8 weeks out of the year you actually have to do it 5. So if you do it consistently, you can do it just 4 days a week. So when you're planning out your calendar and everything else, it's easy. And then you go back and do the 10-minute business plan. So what am I really asking you to do in a day? Your 10-minute business plan twice, role playing for 20 minutes to 30 minutes, and 90 minutes of prospecting. Can we all do this every day? If you did this every single day, you would never have a problem in your business, and you would continue to get better. Has anyone besides me, raise your hand, seen some really bad information about this whole buyer's agency thing and how to talk about it? Some of this stuff that people are saying is it's literally scary. And then there are other people that are like credible sources publishing it. Look, in the end, if you don't know how to talk to people, there's one default mechanism you're going to have. You know what that is? You're just going to talk about yourself. Somebody buying or selling a home did not come there to hear about how great Chirag Shah is. They don't care. They care about their motivations, expectations, disappointments, and consume. concerns. The fact that there's so much doom and gloom out there is where all the opportunity is. Let everyone write doom and gloom because doom and gloom sells headlines and attention. If you put your head down and focus on what you need to do, you'll win. I love these AI summaries. And by the way, on a quick side note, if you're meeting clients, if you're meeting with team members, if you're meeting vendors, if you're meeting anyone, use Zoom, not Google Meet, and sign up for Zoom Meeting IQ. It uses AI to create these meeting summaries. It's insane how accurate it is. Insane. So you have your autopilot to take your notes. You have your Zoom IQ for your meeting summary. So look, we've been talking about how to have these conversations that no one knows how to have. We've been talking about how to be more productive, how to be more mindful of our clients, how to really be a luxury service. Does anyone else here, be honest, does anyone else besides me feel like we're ahead of all this? Everyone should raise their hand. Why do you not feel ahead if you've been here for like the last 6 months? That's a question. Why? It's confidence. I need you to believe in you. I need you to believe in the possibilities of you. I need you to show up every day and know that if you practice 30 minutes a day, the only thing that's going to happen is your clients are going to get a better experience. You're going to make more money. I'm telling you, a lot of these buyer agency things that I've seen, I've heard, that clients have shared, literally the way that people are teaching people how to talk about it is literally spend the entire time talking about yourself and what you do. Is that the way to get a client? No. We're way ahead. Like, the more I look at this, look, you all know that I'm competitive. So the moral of my story is the people that are here, I want all of you to win. And the people that are not here, too bad you decided not to be here. That's your problem. It's not mine. You are so much further ahead. You already have dialogues. You have the client experience scorecard. You know ways of having these conversations. You know the Med C. The fact we did the Med C, Gretchen and I, in front of 250 team leaders in Florida, and you would have thought we had the cure for cancer. The sales managers who are my friends were inundated with requests for a copy of the Med C script. You guys have been practicing, ladies and gentlemen, have been practicing this for months. You're ready for this moment. This is your moment to shine. I need you to have confidence, and consistency of action creates confidence. Nail that 2.5 hours every day. Next year will be the best year of your life. No one's doing anything. Consistency is what wins, not skill. See, we all have market knowledge and our skills are here. When your skills match your knowledge, that's where you unlock limitless income and your potential. This is where you guys all smile and get excited, hands, right? I'm looking at Jeff with a very serious face right now. Like, what's this guy talking about? Just messing with you, buddy. Everyone smile. Be happy, be excited, be full of life, and be full of energy. Because guess what? At the end of the day, these clients, these buyers, these sellers are people just like me and you. Just like we want our clients to treat us good, every person has a right to know what they receive in exchange for the compensation they pay. If you're in Manhattan next year, they're not even going. Manhattan made the most drastic change out of any of the portal systems, MLSs or whatever. Somebody in Manhattan said, well, we're not part of NAR, so it doesn't really matter. You think your clients in Manhattan know that there's an NAR and RLS, or they really even care? No, the only thing that they're reading is the Wall Street Journal referred to NAR as a cartel, right? They're talking about how sellers were taken advantage of and paying all these commissions, which is really funny because the buyer is the one that shows up to the closing with all the money. In most transactions are financed, but if the bank attorney doesn't come If the closing attorney doesn't come with the check, the wire, and the money, no one gets paid. The seller doesn't sell their house. So the buyer's the one paying everybody. The seller gets the money, but in exchange paid. The whole thing's a mess. And the reality is, if NAR had a good attorney, they would have had a much better chance in doing this. But look, Brad Inman said it best. All the leaders of this industry failed us. Epic fail. Go look at his LinkedIn post. They had sex scandals. They overspent money. They kept out innovation. They never changed their what is that stupid thing called? CE. They never updated their CE classes. Do you know how hard it was to write a CE class that actually taught people how to make money and save time? I had 17 different classes rejected, and then I just gave up on writing them. I'm a licensed New York State instructor that can actually give people CE. So what a waste. I gave up. So if you look at the way this industry is positioned, it's like the Industrial Revolution. Everything is going to change. And I'm going to leave you on the same note as I always do. Choose to change this for yourself before the world chooses them for you. You have everything they need. Anyone that's going to be with us next year will have end-to-end the playbook and end-to-end buyers and sellers. So you'll have a whole system for sellers, a whole system for buyers. You'll have a complete buyer presentation in Compass Marketing Center that you can put your branding, your picture, and everything else into, and an entire conversation guide, every email that you send a client. The whole thing's done. You're already on the side of success. Do you know what it's like for somebody to try to figure this out on their own? Good luck. Because I can tell you how many hours and weeks and months this took our team and us to do this. So by virtue of just being in alignment, you guys are all ahead. So what do I want you to do? I want everyone to time block those 2.5 hours in your schedule. Michelle, thank you. It's 6:30 in the morning. You're here religiously. You inspire me, right? All of you inspire me. You know, it was 11:30 at night and I'm on my computer and my girlfriend says to me, she goes, you look noticeably concerned and worried. She says, why? I said to her, I go, in the simplest form, if I don't figure this out for people, there are people that are not going to have money for their families. Being a business coach and a leader today is the biggest responsibility in the world. Literally, this stuff keeps me up. I'm up every night till 1, 2 o'clock in the morning working. Because I'm afraid that if I don't do what's I wouldn't say it's necessarily fear, but if I don't do what's right for all the people here, what's going to happen to you? I already know what the other end of this is. It's not great. So every night she's like, you think about this? I go, every minute of every single day this is what I think about. It is a responsibility. This is not an investment for an exchange of information. This is how do you take the information and actually do something. That's why today I chose to talk about scheduling in those 2.5 hours. And we could build on those habits. We can habit stack. We can skill stack. You utilize each other. Everyone needs a role play partner. And I don't know why more of you haven't joined our WhatsApp group. I don't know what you're waiting for. This is it. 2 months to dictate the next 12 months of your life. That's it. Don't overeat, don't overdrink, and do not go to all these holiday parties. Because guess what? There are a lot of people out here right now doing all these things just to make pretend like all these things aren't happening. Watch, go to your offices in the first week of January and look at the look on people's faces that did nothing these last 2 months. It's going to be very different. We'll share the WhatsApp group. Just click the link in the chat, everyone right now. Join the WhatsApp group. We'll leave the chat open if people want to Zoom date, find partners. By the way, for everyone in the retreat, I am not going to be able to be at this party, but our leaders, Kate and Tommy, we are putting something last minute together for all of you. So for all of you going to the retreat, we will have a Chirag Shah Coaching get together. Unfortunately, my parenting schedule does not allow me to leave my kids. And in full transparency, I promised my daughter I would not travel anymore on the days that I was with her. So therefore, we will set something up, be some sort of happy hour breakfast. We're working through the details, but there will be something that all of you can get together and meet each other. So as always, love in my heart. I love you all. I will see you guys all soon. We have our first webinar tomorrow, and I'll see everyone on Wake Up Wednesday. Bye, everybody.